All right, I'm here with BBD, who went 3-0, undefeated in draft. Tell me about your deck. Was it sweet?
Depends on your definition of sweet. It was just boring blue-black control. So.
Control, ew, gross. What was in it?
So I was black-green after pack 1, and then I opened God Eternal Kefnet and decided to change the course. So I ended up switching into blue, and then I just had a lot of removal, card draw, and good creatures. And I also had 4 planeswalkers, so that didn't hurt too.
Yeah, not too bad. So tell me about some of the sweet moments that happens in your game. You had...
I ran into a scenario where I played a proliferate card, and I needed to find a removal spell from my Narset. So I deliberately did not tick up the Narset so that it would die when I minused it, and I could get it back with another card to then try again to find the removal spell, and I thought that was pretty sweet to decline the proliferate.
Wow, that's really awesome. What's your take on the speed of this format? You went slow, right?
Yeah, my deck was slow, and I think the format itself is also very slow, and I like to draft with that in mind.
Awesome. Well, a great start to the day. Best of luck to you the rest of the tournament.
All right, thank you very much.
I'm here with MPLer Alexander Hayne, and you drafted a pretty sweet Jund draft.
Oh yeah, it's Jund with a tiny blue splash, but yeah, it was a pretty spicy one. The headliner, of course, is Liliana.
Nice.
I was really kind of base red-green, but then I got past in pack 3 Liliana, and you don't...
You got past this card?
Oh yes, and when you get past Liliana, you don't decline to the challenge, you know. So I had already had this Living Twister, which is pretty solid, but hefty mana requirements on this red-green card, and then a couple other planeswalkers. These two really good friends, Jaya and Tybalt.
Yeah, Tybalt not so bad anymore.
No, Tybalt, this is the best Tybalt there ever has been.
I agree.
Yeah, and the tokens getting to double up damage from Jaya's passive is really strong. And had the Vivian, to find some creatures and stuff. Very, very powerful card. The Tameo, joined in but with her Epiphany to draw some cards. And how you cast all this stuff? Well, there's a lot of mana fixers in the format. I was fortunate enough to get 2 of the uncommon ones. The Paradise Druid, who's a very, very powerful card, and kind of tie them together, just cast a bunch of powerful spells and grind out your opponents. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, super friends in War of the Spark draft. Who knew you could do it? This guy knew. 3-0 in draft. Best of luck to you the rest of the tournament.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, I found Matt Sikkink Johnson out on the floor, another one of our 3-0 drafters. And Matt, what Mythic Championship / Pro Tour is this for you going undefeated in draft?
This is my 4th PT in a row going undefeated in the first draft. I've never done it in the second draft.
Oh, okay, so goals, #goals. But that's still unbelievable.
Yeah, no, it feels awesome.
All right, so show me what you did this time. Pretty sweet deck.
Yeah, so this time I drafted a black-green mid-range deck that was splashing white. I had Casualties of War as one of my highest power cards, and then I was splashing the Wanderer. And I also had Cura, and these were my 2 planeswalkers. So I was kill a lot of guys, draw cards. I had a lot of mana sinks and activated abilities on common creatures, even with the 2/1 that you can pay 7 mana to drain them to. I activated that a lot of times. Yeah, it's a pretty solid black-green deck, I'd say.
So what's your overall take on this format as far as how you sit down, how are you going to approach your draft?
I'm trying to approach it in just kind of prioritizing power and planeswalkers and card advantage, and then not worrying too much about the mana. You can splash. There's a lot of tools for that, and it's kind of worth it to splash to get the extra power.
All right, so next Mythic Championship, look for this guy. I'm going to be interviewing him again, I'm sure, for the first draft, undefeated, and hopefully tomorrow too, fingers crossed.
Thanks for cursing me.
All right, I found Paul Rietzl, who's had a 3-0 draft. Tell me a little bit about your deck.
Well, my deck is a red-black, I think mid-range / aggro deck. I didn't have a lot of preparation for this tournament, so my preparation led me to trying to take one of the gold rare mythics that you open in the first pack and then kind of stay on track.
This was your first draft, right?
This was my first draft, yeah. So I obviously have a full-time job, didn't have a chance to come here early, so this was it. I was doing my first draft and it went pretty well.
All right, show me some of the highlights from your deck. You've got some pretty good cards.
Yeah, so the big highlight was Widespread Brutality. That was the card that I opened first pack. It's an extremely powerful, gold rare, and I took it, and then I just kind of stayed on track, didn't get tempted by going in different directions, and ended up with a pretty solid deck, and then drew it a lot, which is the key. Whenever you open a really powerful rare, you're going to want to make sure that you draw it as much as possible.
But you made a decision, you stuck to it,
Yeah.
and what were some of your follow-ups here that are also pretty powerful?
Yeah, I thought Vraska's Finisher, in terms of at the common level, is a card that's really impressed me. Like, I've been playing a little bit of Seal Deck on Magic Online last night, exchanging emails with Tom Gwevin over in Boston, and that was a common that we thought was perhaps a little bit undervalued. Just a way to just ping a Planeswalker and finish it off, or be able to attack with 1/1 armies and then disincentivize blocking. So that card was really good for me in the draft.
And you also had Angrath, too.
Yeah, Angrath was fantastic. So red-black is an archetype that can amass, right? You can amass and you can make a pretty giant monster. Giving that monster an ability like Menace, I had another card that could give it Trample, meant that my opponent really needed to spend removal spells on creatures that I was making almost incidentally. So Angrath being able to kind of give me value and then sit there giving the static ability, which is super relevant when you're trying to beat down, was amazing for me.
I know this is your first draft, but did you have any thoughts just on the overall format from your first experience playing?
Yeah, I mean, so I think that more so than other formats in the past, War of the Spark lends itself to having each individual color combination drafted as multiple different archetypes. So, white-blue isn't just the beatdown deck, and blue-green isn't just the proliferate deck. There's multiple different ways that deck can go. Red-black, great example, right? You can build up a giant army, or you can play the sacrifice and game, or you can play control with a bunch of removal spells. Unfortunately, this deck happened to have a lot of each of those themes and wasn't on anyone, but it actually worked out. So if you have high enough power level and a good curve, almost any kind of strategy can work.
Awesome. It sounds really great. War of the Spark 3-0 drafter right here.